Welcome to the Terrible Podcast with your hosts from SteelersDepot.com, where you can find all your latest and greatest Steelers news. It's Dave Bryan and Alex Kozora, always lit, talking Steelers.
And now, here's Dave and Alex.
Welcome to the Terrible Podcast, another special edition of the Terrible Podcast, Pittsburgh Steelers Training Camp 2025. I am Dave Bryan from SteelersDepot.com. It is Tuesday, August the 12th. It is almost 7:45 p.m. in the Eastern Time in Pittsburgh, and that's where my co-host obviously always is, fresh off of his 15th and final trip of 2025 out to Saint Vincent College in Latrobe to observe training camp practices. So with that, Alex, congratulations. You made it another year through training camp. You did a fantastic job. Happy Tuesday. Happy end of training camp to you.
Happy Tuesday. Thank you, Dave. Our team, Steelers Depot, did a great job holding down the front at home during practice, and there's been some busy days. The Pat McAfee day, I think today, a bunch of interviews. So those guys made it easy so I could focus just on the report and practice, and a pretty spirited practice in pads for the last session at SVC. So still plenty to talk about, Dave.
Absolutely. And first and foremost, with this being the final special edition episode of the Terrible Podcast for Training Camp 2025, we give one final shout out to our sponsor of these special edition shows. And that, of course, is Touring Plans. Alex, tell the fine folks one last time about the company Lynn Testa has.
It is touringplans.com, your one-stop shop for any Disney-related trip you're planning, whether that's Disneyland, Disney World, Disney Cruise Lines, anything with Disney in it. Check out the site to help plan that trip for the best ways to save money on tickets, for when the lines are the busiest, to try to avoid that, for hotel and restaurant recommendations, anything related to making it the best, often family experience. Bring the family down during the winter or go visit family, something like that. Anything you have on your mind with Disney and an upcoming trip, check out the site, touringplans.com. We thank Lynn Testa and their site. They've been sponsoring us, Dave, for I'm not even sure how many years, almost every year of our Steelers Depot training camp coverage, which spans back over a decade now. So it's been just a really good partnership. They're people. It's a good site. So if you want to check it out, again, the website is touringplans.com. Link at the top of our last diary of the day. So we thank them again for their support.
Absolutely, and boy, they've become as almost like breathing, like you going out there to training camp. Every year we can always count on them for sponsoring these shows. I think make sure you follow them on Twitter as well too at Touring Plans, because I was they're in my feed. I noticed today they had I think a restaurant review at Disney as well too. They've got a blog on the site. They obviously have an app that you can download and use as well too. So anything Disney related trip wise, make sure you hit up Touring Plans first. And if you shout them out, thank them on Twitter for sponsoring these special editions if you get a chance here. All right, Alex, let's see. We don't have any transactions to talk about today. Well, Cameron McCutcheon did clear waivers and revert to IR on a split salary, so we'll wait to see what happens there as far as a potential injury settlement goes. But got some people in and out today, and got one notable person, a little bit dinged during practice. I think people was a little bit worried at the time, but I'll spare everybody the suspense and let you fill everybody in real quickly here.
Yeah, that is Aaron Rodgers. He's okay. Let's lead with that. We'll talk more about his moment today. But those not practicing, cornerback Corey Trice Jr., he missed the back half of training camp. Same with rookie corner Dante Kent. Have not seen those guys progress to any sort of rehab or on-field jogging. Hopefully those guys are trending in the right direction. You would imagine they are, but still could be a little ways away. Calvin Anderson, same boat. He has not practiced since Friday Night Lights. Ryan McCullum did a little bit of jogging on the side, but he missed again. Jonnu Smith did not work today. Alex Highsmith, a little less jogging than yesterday, but got some rehab work in, so they'll be patient with him. Calvin Austin remains out as well. Will Howard taking mental reps, but not dressed today. Isaac Seumalo, I've not seen him the last 2 days, and so don't know if there's a minor thing there or some personal issue or what. Cam Hayward continues his hold in, and Y.A. Black, the rookie, had a wrap on his right arm elbow. He took it off midway through practice, but he did not dress. Also, Aiden Williams, the rookie guard out of Minnesota Duluth, did not see him today. He did not work for an unknown reason. Those coming back, Jalen Ramsey worked in full, and so that was good. Derek Carmen worked full after not finishing yesterday. Same with Darius Slay. That was a good sign. Devin Harper at least returned to individual work. I don't know if he worked in team. Don't have that in my notes, but he dressed after not practicing on Monday. Same with JJ Galbraith. He did not work in the team periods. He worked off to the side, but he was dressed in uniform. Aaron Rodgers, the notable, I don't want to say injury, I'll say more he got hurt today, got his foot, I think, stepped on by Derek Harmon, or maybe the offensive lineman as Harmon collapsed the pocket. This was during the second team period. This is not a live tackling session. Not the quarterbacks are ever alive. They can never supposed to hit the quarterback, but just a freak moment there. Rodgers limped around a little bit. He finished out his reps in that team period, got checked out by trainers. A trainer put a black wrap around his calf that was on the right leg of his. He maybe had to kind of loosen it up a little bit, but he did not miss a single rep. He finished out practice. Mike Tomlin downplayed it post-practice, and so I assume he's fine. Wish we had one more training camp to see him tomorrow just to see what that status is, but should be, no injury really of any significance to Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, Mike Tomlin said, he's fine basically after practice, and that he just got stepped on earlier in the day, and that he was able to finish and all like that. Y.A. Black, he worked in the padless yesterday, right?
Yes, he's worked every day at training camp until today.
All right. Any chance that might be related to something that maybe happened in game, that once they put the pads on, he just wasn't able to go, and maybe that could explain why he played so few snaps the other night? We'll never know, but is that in theory plausible?
I don't think that's it. I think honestly the reason he played only the 9 or 10 snaps was he was playing in base defense, playing a base defensive end. Jacksonville played him behind. They didn't play a lot of heavier personnel, and so Black didn't see as much playing time, and they typically don't play maybe a guy like Black, who probably has a solid chance to make the roster close to a lock that late in the fourth quarter. So I think it was a little more circumstantial. I don't think it was injury related, but it's funny. I made the comment on the podcast yesterday about the brace that Black had on his right arm. I felt like he was getting a bigger brace every single day. He had some sort of contraption on. So it's probably something he's kind of been dealing with, and they decided it's a padded day, last day of camp. Let's kind of give you a day off and try to get your back. So, we can't see him tomorrow. Won't know his status. Maybe that gets tweeted out by somebody, but probably just something he's been nagging at, or think something's been nagging him a little bit, and they finally decided, let's give him a day off.
All right. Hopefully he's able to go Saturday night. Certainly put some good stuff on tape against the Jaguars. Obviously a tough roster path to the 53-man roster heading into training camp for Dante Kent. But it's even harder now that he hasn't practiced a lot there. So that's very disappointing. And then Corey Trice Jr., man. I mean, is this guy going to start off the season on IR? Is he just going to be healthy enough just to cut outright? You hate, Omar Khan said it best, several months ago, that this guy that the team's high on, but has just got to stay healthy, and he was unable to do that for training camp.
Right. Unfortunate. The injuries mount for him. We'll probably talk about that more, for the Wednesday show or Friday show, but I don't know what his status will be. I imagine he'll be closer to full health by the 26th cut down date. Hamstring injuries, 2 to 3 weeks typically. I don't know the exact severity, obviously, but yeah, his future for the 53-man roster to start the year seems very much in question.
All right, Ryan McCollum, we'll have to see if him and Calvin Anderson are able to. Sure doesn't seem like, at least from where we sit right now, I got a couple more days that either one will play against Tampa Bay, right?
Yeah, I can't predict it, and not being at camp, I won't be able to really gauge it super well going forward. Be relying on the media reports, but those guys have not done any sort of rehab on the side, and so that tells me they are not going to get back in time for this second preseason game.
All right, now this is the final special edition episode. These usually run a little bit long, but I just want to kind of talk on, and I know it's impossible for you to remember all the years that you've been out there, but I feel overall this team's done pretty well from a health standpoint throughout the first game of the preseason and the training camp. Do you get the sense of that?
I do, and knock on wood, I know we're probably jinxing it here, and people are probably mad at us for even discussing it. There's probably a way to quantify that in terms of how many guys got waived injured this camp compared to others. And there were a couple this camp, but not that many overall. Right. I think it was less than last year. I remember last year, Man, they went the walking wounded to finish camp. Herbig got hurt. Jonathan Ward got hurt. I think somebody else went down like the last hour of training camp. And so you just had that at the end as well. Now, we don't know who all maybe got hurt today. We don't know the status of guys like Aiden Williams and what's going on there. But yeah, I would say overall, fewer injuries in totality. And then just as importantly, maybe more importantly, not a lot of severe injuries. There's guys that have missed some chunks of time. Trice and Dean Lowry probably had the most serious injury of more established players with the ACL tear that he had. But I mean, overall, it's been a pretty clean camp.
Yeah, I think 3 total young players waived injured and reverted to IR, and then Dean Lowry placed directly on IR, if my memory's correct there. All right, enough with the that housekeeping health of the team. We'll have to see what all happens between now and the Saturday night game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But let's go into the position groups now. With the pads back on, talk a little bit one final time about that group, what you observed today, and maybe some overarching thoughts of that group throughout training camp.
For the offensive line, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Broderick Jones certainly ended camp better than how he started it. There was a lot of heat on him for the injury and the tough start during that 4-day acclimation period, but he had some better reps going through the all-22 tape. I think he had one bad rep against Jacksonville where he got beat. I think it wasn't on the sack that Rudolph had. I forget exactly what play this was for Jones, but I mean, just overall, I think it was an upward trending camp for him, which is encouraging. Trey Fautanu looked really good, looked like a star in training camp. Thought he had a really good preseason game. Watt did get him once today. He dipped and ripped around the edge to sack, quote unquote, sack Rodgers had this been live, but I think overall Fautanu's had a nice training camp. Today, Mason McCormick got some center work, not in the team period, but during the individual, not even individual, but just kind of on the side warm-up type stuff because there was no Aiden Williams who got some center reps in that quarterback center exchange period yesterday. So McCormick is basically your emergency center. If there was ever a scenario in which Frazier and McCollum, assuming McCollum is your backup center, were unavailable, then McCormick's going to step into play center. And then speaking of which, more of a note from the game, but Max Sharping had 6 high snaps I counted in that Jacksonville game. I mean, they were all corralled, nothing disastrous, but I don't know. I think Sharping's more of a natural guard. He played tackle in college than he is center. So center depth with McCollum uncertain is a little shaky right now.
Any more Nestor at center?
Not in the team period today. He worked in that warm-up drill with the quarterbacks. They go through their footwork drill with Tom Arth, and they do some snapping very early in practice, not 11 on 11. Nestor did that. It was Frazier, Sharping, Nestor, and McCormick, but I did not see Nestor in team like I did yesterday, so it was just Frazier and Sharping.
All right, we talked a lot about depth of the offensive line heading into training camp, and unfortunately, 2 of the depth pieces are penciled-in depth pieces of McCollum and Calvin Anderson hasn't gone great with them missing time with injuries. But obviously, the other concern was the starting tackles. From start to end, you saw progress from both those guys?
I did.
Jones and Fautanu?
I did. I think they both ended camp really well. I think Fautanu certainly had the better camp of the two. I still want to see some more of those inside rushes. I think you're not going to beat Fautanu around the edge. He's too athletic. His hands are too good. He's technically, he's overall sound and solid. I think that issue, and I mentioned it a couple times before, is some of the power rushes, the inside counters. Can he handle that? I want to still see more of that. And even with Broderick Jones, it's been a good camp, but we know regular season is all that matters with him. And those first 4 games facing some top pass rushers, McDonald, Grenard, just the overall defensive schematics of Aaron Glenn and Brian Flores and Mike Vrabel, Mike McDonald. So that'll really test this group overall. But Jones certainly on the upswing, and that's encouraging to hear.
Who was the best offensive lineman unlikely to make the 53-man roster?
I mean, like I said, this O-line depth really didn't stand out or impress me in any sort of noticeable way. I mean, I think Dylan Cook of the backups was the most impressive, but he's got a puncher's chance to make the 53. So in terms of the group of the guys unlikely to make it to 53, which is a pretty limited group, they're kind of working pretty thin offensive line with no Sayamalu, no Anderson, no McCollum. I thought they'd bring in some more offensive linemen. They didn't, but I mean, if you're Aiden Williams, I guess Stephen Jones, because he has got some size and some power. He played primarily right guard, right tackle, a little bit of left tackle as well. So I would say him as the best, but nobody that really stuck out that says this is a sleeper like Dylan Cook was 2 years ago. That's going to be a dark horse to make this team, despite there being some spots for the taking.
All right. Okay, that's it for offensive line. Let's go to the tight end position.
Connor Hayward gets a lot of heat on Twitter. I'm not
I
100%
knew you're
sure
going there.
why. I don't know if that's some residual Cam Hayward. We're unhappy with what he's doing or not doing right now. But Hayward's had some good practices. He's made some really impressive catches. I think each of the last 3 practices, he's been a safety valve security blanket underneath. He's played well overall. He's been available. Him and Darnell Washington, the only 2 tight ends to practice every single day of training camp. So just from availability, being out there standpoint, taking every single rep, there's some appreciation there. I know he's got his limitations. In that Jaguars game, he got some tough blocking matchups. Didn't block well, obviously. He's number 4 tight end, but I mean, it's been a nice camp, and he makes some really good catches. He's athletic. He's got good hands. Aaron Rodgers praised his smart. So, you know, I'm not quite sure why there is that degree of dislike for Connor Hayward.
Aaron Rodgers did praise him today, as you mentioned, said he's a very smart player and all like that. And, we went into training camp wondering whether if guys like J.J. Galbraith or DJ Thomas Jones could potentially push Connor Hayward. But, and look, it's not like I take it today. Was today Connor Hayward's best practice of training camp? Did he save his best for last?
I don't know exactly how to quantify that. I mean, I think he's had some good practices throughout. I mean, aside from the one where the ball hit off his face mask, resulted in the queen pick. That was kind of the flub that he had at training camp. I mean, I don't know how many catches he had overall today. I mean, he had the one really nice one-hander down the left side, tipped it up to himself, and then halted in for a 25-yard gain. Had a nice, in the one-on-one period, crossing the face of Quindell Johnson on a slant for a touchdown. So it's up there. I don't know if this is better than day 13 or whatever the case was, but I think his practices have been consistently good overall.
And he is what he is right now, right? But his best ability is his availability, right?
And special teams. I mean, he's a number 4 tight end.
Right.
Yeah, we're not asking Connor Hayward to play 600 snaps and be a main asset in this offense. Arthur Smith found struggle to find ways to get him involved in the offense. So, he is going to have an even more reduced offensive role with Jonnu Smith and Darnell Washington emerging. Washington, one of the stars of training camp, but just as the number 4 tight end, playing special teams, being some 4 tight end personnel, can catch. I got no problem with it.
What'd you learn about J.J. Galbraith throughout training camp?
Nothing new from a receiver standpoint, but that's a good thing because he can catch. He's athletic. He's got good hands. He runs good routes. He impressed early, but the block never really materialized, and I really felt that in the game. I don't want to make this too much about the game, but just getting to finally digest all 22. He's undersized, not strong enough. Inline blocking, really struggling there. So to me, I've always kind of felt he was really good practice squad material, and I'm unchanged in that thought from the end of training camp.
Yeah, he's about all they got now to put on it on
Kevin
roster.
Fulch. Yeah, Kevin Fulch.
Yeah, that's true. He circled back as well too. So we'll see if he gets some burn in his final preseason game. He should there. All right. How much?
I'm just going to mention. I'm sorry. Were you going to go to a different position group? Or
no, I was going to go.
Okay,
what kind of camp did Pat Freiermuth have?
It was a little bit quieter. I mean, he had some plays later, had that big 70-yard touchdown. So I would say not one of his best camps. I think his earlier camps were some of his best, where the dude caught everything. The hands maybe not quite as good. Just in this training camp in a vacuum, overall, his hands overall I think are still very good. But it was a fine, just a okay, good, inoffensive training camp from Pat Freiermuth.
And this was the camp of Darnell Washington, without a doubt, right?
Yeah, he is going to be. If we do call it the Golden Nuggets, which is the front runner right now, because I have no other ideas what to call my awards of training camp. But he's the front runner for probably one of the stars of training camp. Just caught everything, continued to show his hands, his high point ability. They threw a jump ball to him in 7 shots today, which they did that last year, and we'll see how much they actually do it. In the regular season, but just overall as a blocker and backs on backers, just his size, hard to cover. It's a really good camp in Darnell Washington, and also available every single day, which few tight ends can say that in this room.
This is the grown man among boys that the Steelers hope that they drafted right here, right?
Yeah, I mean, how much different is it than last year is kind of what's in my head, because I thought he really emerged last year, like he crushed backs on backers last season. I still remember that, but I think more steps as a receiver, and then probably more trust and more looks from his quarterback. Aaron Rodgers looked his way a good amount, and I think it's going to carry over more than it probably did with Fields and Russell Wilson last year, because he's just going to throw the ball over the middle more this year.
And they're going to use the living snot out of him, as I like to say, too, because you're going to have a lot of 2 and 3 tight end groups, and he's going to be in there a lot.
He's a unicorn.
Yeah.
How many guys are built like him that can catch, that can block at his size in this league? Who's the closest current comp or any comp to Darnell Washington right now?
I mean, that size. I mean, it's hard to think of just anybody of that size.
I mean, there are guys of that size. Matt Spaeth was that size. Levine Tololo, former Falcons tight end. Lee Smith, but they weren't the receivers. I think Darnell can be. Darnell's not going to be Travis Kelce. He's not going to catch 50 balls for this team. Just the structure of the offense won't allow it. But he's a build-up runner with really good hands. And I don't want to move him to tackle because I want him to be an asset as a blocker, as that unique tight end, but also as a receiver because the guy can catch.
I joked on Twitter earlier today, he's going to have 20 catches and 10 of them are going to be touchdowns.
Hey, sign me up.
All right. Anything left from tight end before we move on to running back?
Yeah, Johnny Smith didn't practice. He's got that knee thing probably still bugging him, but he had a nice camp overall. He's super athletic. I would say the best athlete of the tight end group. And there's some good athletes in there, but Smith is head and shoulders above the rest.
All right, running back, what you got?
Caleb Johnson's going to be really interesting guy to watch in the rookie campaign for him. Just my notes have not really changed, but to really try to maybe expand upon that. Just as a runner, I feel like he's solid, going to be good overall, but can he do the other things? Can he block? Can he catch? Can he really earn the trust of Aaron Rodgers and then by extension the coaching staff? And a little frustration today from Rodgers. It was after the foot got stepped on, he dropped back, he dropped the ball, picked it up, fired Johnson in the flat left side. Johnson was a step behind. Rodgers was pissed. I mean, you could just see how angry he was, and then kind of gestured to Johnson, didn't yell at him, but was making a comment to him. And so it's going to be really important that Johnson can do those little things. I think Rodgers even mentioned today that Johnson didn't get out and release on the sack that Rudolph took. So
we talked about that the other day.
Right. So if those things can't get corrected, then you do wonder, okay, how much playing time will he get? Because if you don't have the trust of Aaron Rodgers and the coaching staff, it doesn't matter what your 40 time is, what your break tackle rate is. It's going to be harder to find reps. I'm not saying he can't get there. He's a rookie. You're going to learn. You're going to grow. I think he's acknowledged his shortcomings and is working to improve them. His pass pro got better throughout training camp. But that's going to be the big thing to watch again, especially that first month when you're facing some really aggressive and defensive-minded head coaches.
Yeah, he's got to be, especially on things like that with the safety valve. He's got to know that he's got to get out there. He's got to be that last option. And what was it, the play before or the play right after it? He had to drop. I think it was the play right after it, wasn't it?
Right, because it went to sack for all the lost yardage, and the next one he took his eyes off the football, and he had to drop today in one-on-one coverage drill. So the hands have been pretty suspect. He's had a couple catches, but there's a lot of things outside of being a running back he's got to work on.
All right, what'd you think of Kenneth Gainwell's first camp as a Steeler?
They're going to use him as a receiver. I mean, I still believe that he could end this year if the group stays healthy with more receptions than rushes. And they even used, and we didn't say it at all until the last training camp, but a pony backfield, true pony today, very late in team. It was Gainwell and Caleb Johnson. I think Gainwell and Trey Sermon for a snap or two, whereas Johnson actually split out. But Gainwell is certainly an asset as a receiver, caught a lot of passes, had a nice catch today. So, I mean, he's going to be a receiver as much, if not more, than he will be as a runner.
That's like our gratuitous nudity in a movie.
the pony backfield.
Yeah, the mention of that every year. Trey Sermon, practice squad material for sure.
Yeah, I think we'll be in the mix. Will he make it? Will the summer write that story? Lou Nichols had a nice day, but I think Sermon has a lot of special teams value and had a tackle in, I think at least one tackle in the game, and he's a pretty good physical runner, which I think they'll like his experience. So yeah, I mean, you got Evan Hull, you got Lou Nichols, those guys still fighting, but I think Sermon's certainly a good chance to make the practice squad.
All right, so this is Jaylen Warren's backfield to start, right?
I mean, I still want to see how the rotation goes. It'll still be a good committee, and we'll see how much Johnson can progress in his second and third game. He'll get a lot of burn in these last two preseason games, and Warren did not have a particularly eventful training camp. It was kind of underwhelming for the starting running back for this. To me, it was fine overall, but I thought he struggled in backs on backers more. But I mean, he's a guy that can catch, he can block. There's trust, the more veteran type. So he's going to be the guy to start. And then Johnson, his development and doing the non-ball carrying things will really dictate how much of a committee and how much Johnson really eats into that role.
All right, the quarterbacks one last spin. Will Howard talked to the media today, and you got to feel bad for that guy. That guy's really disappointed about the injury and all, and I think he's out there doing some stuff other than practicing, right?
Took some mental reps. He worked with Tom Arth before practice, kind of doing the, pretend like you're taking a snap, and went through some footwork drills. I think yesterday. I don't know if he did that today. So there's a little bit of activity there. He's trying to stay as active as he can, which is good. But, will he get back for the preseason game in 9 days? I'm pretty skeptical of that. Not going to rule it out, but I think it's going to be a pretty tight turnaround because he might get cleared by then, but then can you get the reps to get into a game? It's going to be the real challenge. He's no way he's going to play this week. I'd be shocked if he suited up at all and played in this game. But yeah, the quarterbacks overall, Rudolph had a good day, had a good camp. It's just been really good for Mason Rudolph. It's no surprise there. Thompson was fine. Still nothing for Logan Woodside. So I guess we're just going to kind of there to be the guy to throw an individual. I assume whenever Howard gets healthy, Woodside will probably get the heave-ho there. Rogers, whatever it's worth, I don't want to make too much out of it. He did not look good after getting his foot stepped on. The accuracy was worse, and just he threw a pick over the middle. So I don't know if he would just kind of fight through it or whatever the case was, or maybe just coincidence that he had a couple of bad team periods after getting his foot stepped on. But it was not a particularly good day for him.
All right, we'll have to see what kind of work he gets against Tampa Bay in the scrimmage, and probably good bet that he's not going to play in the preseason game Saturday night. There is through by no fault of his own. Is Will Howard one of the most disappointing stories players of camp? And once again, it's not his fault,
Sure.
but
I know.
you know where I'm going. I was
Yeah.
super high. You know how I feel about wanting to see him in the preseason and talking of it. It's probably my fault. I'm the one that said, man, this guy's going to play 102 snaps and get a good long look at him. And now we might not, but is that one of the more disappointing storylines of training camp, I guess, is a better way to phrase it.
Sure, to say a disappointing storyline to be accurate.
Right.
Yeah. And Arthur's performance in camp before breaking his finger was good. It was promising. I was really encouraged by it all. It wasn't like wow, but it was just good, composed, consistent, operationally pretty clean. Some snap issues, but just overall knowing where to go with the football, being accurate, being smart, good decision maker, getting in out of the huddle well, commanding it. That all was really impressive for a rookie. It's disappointing. He just will probably not play in the preseason, which means unless there's a bunch of injuries during the season, which who knows, maybe it happens, hopefully not, but it means you won't see him until training camp next year.
Yeah, I half jokingly tweeted out today on top of the Jets press conference that I got a sneaky feeling that Skylar Thompson winds up in a Jet uniform by week 1 because they've got Tyrod Taylor out until at least week 1, and there's not much behind him, and another good showing or two in preseason, and there's going to be a little bit of demand for Skylar as somebody at worst a number 3.
We'll talk about it more for a full show, but could you trade him for a 7th round pick?
Yeah, Dave Weekly asked me that today on his radio show on my weekly spot there, and I said, maybe you do something like a 7th for a 6, or maybe a 7th straight up or something. Especially if he has another, if he plays, quite a bit in these final 2 games and plays the way he did the other night against Jacksonville. Why wouldn't a team want to throw either swap a 6th or a 7th or give you a 7th for him to at worst be their number 3?
Yeah, and if Pittsburgh thinks he's going to get, he'll be eligible for waivers. Is he vested? What will be the status if he were to be cut?
I'll have to look at his situation. We'll talk more about it on the podcast. That's coming up in a few hours.
Sure.
Anyway, but we'll talk more about that. Any other final thoughts on the quarterback position?
I think Rodgers had a good camp overall. The offense certainly perked up after that first week or so. Was pretty tough. I thought they got better, which are ebbs and flows of camp, and an offense that needed more time to gel with a quarterback that wasn't working until they all got to training camp. So not a surprise to see the offense kind of perk up. And of course, some defensive starters didn't work a lot. Ramsey missed a couple days. Hayward's been out. Highsmith got hurt. Porter missed some time. Those things all probably contribute to the offense looking a bit better too, but there's a little less, the sky is falling from the national or local media about this offense than there was probably a week or two ago. We never really freaked out about it.
Right.
We wanted to kind of keep watching, but you're not hearing some of those, oh my God, the offense looks so bad. What is going on? It's kind of calmed down.
Specifically, what are your thoughts on DK Metcalf's first camp?
One of those unicorns. I mean, it was a slower start between him and Rodgers, who kind of ramped up midway through. I mean, he's just a freaky guy. Now, was it a perfect camp? No, his hands are a little suspect. They're not the most sure AB type hands in the world. But I mean, whenever he gets going, man, he gets moving. I think we'll see a lot of slants to him. Rodgers will lean on him. He loves getting the ball to his playmakers. Those guys have developed a really good chemistry. I'll certainly do a breakdown of who did Aaron Rodgers throw the ball to in this training camp. But I promise you, Metcalf will be number one on that list.
All right, switching over to the wide receiver. Heck, we forgot wide receiver here. Is Max Hurlman a camp darling candidate?
Yeah, I don't know if there was that real true camp darling the way there has been in the past. Maybe just my very robotic, nuanced self won't allow me to view anyone in that sense. I think back to the Demond Pattersons of the world, and I don't know who was that. Who was that safety a couple of years ago that had that really good start and then kind of faded from there? I don't remember his name, but I don't know if Herman was quite to that level, but a really nice training camp overall. And I did a film room today on him and Keyshawn Williams, the rookie receivers, not just what it did as receivers, which was impressive in that game, but Herman's blocking. He's beating a vice to make a tackle on the punt team late in that one. And he's doing a bunch of little things as well, which I think is just as important to him sticking around, be it practice squad or 53, more likely practice squad than anything else. So it's been a nice camp of just a well-rounded skill set Herman has.
All right. What about the rest of the wide receivers as we exit training camp?
Yeah, I mean, Austin missing a lot of camps. Really no good evaluation on him. Roman Wilson perked up from a really quiet start. Did it ever really reach some sort of crescendo of some sort of high? Oh my God, he's crushing it right now. Probably not, but it got better. Thought he looked good in the game, and so that's good. Certainly not one of the strongest positions Pittsburgh has right now. Is it enough to compel them to go make a move? I think he'll let the summer still play out a little bit longer. Got a couple more preseason games. Hopefully get Austin back here within a week or so. You got Miller and Woods, I think, with a pretty good fight for that number 5 job. Skronik's pretty much locked in, I would say, is number 4. But yeah, I would say, Metcalf with a good camp. The rest of it was kind of meh.
All right, we'll see what the other final 2 preseason games brings for that position group there. All right, moving over to the defensive side of the ball, the defensive line.
And I should say, like, Scotty Miller had a really good camp. Had an okay camp. I mean, but in terms of like, what are you projecting out for the regular season? I don't know if you're feeling a whole lot more confident, maybe a tiny bit on Roman, but anyway, just want to clarify that point. Defensive line today. I don't think it really stuck out with the defensive lineman today. I'm trying to think. We're just glad that Harmon got back out there. Disappointing. Black got dinged and was not able to finish, but certainly in training camp, I thought Harmon had a really good summer. I thought Y.A. Black was one of the guys, probably for the award of guy who changed my mind the most this summer was probably Y.A. Black, because I was not super excited about him, especially the idea of him playing defensive end. Still have some reservations there, but I thought he had a really nice camp overall. Better athlete, more juice, more energy than what I thought and what I saw in the Iowa tape.
All right. What about the camp that Aquale had?
He was just only nose tackle. I mean, he played D tackle and some sub, but I mean, he was a 3-4 base nose. I thought he played more defensive end, even especially when one of the lines got thinner there. But he was just nose tackle through and through. But he is a stout. He's a bigger guy than I thought. Just kind of watching some of the Patriots tape last year, you don't get a good sense for size all the time, and I'm not great at judging that sometimes. But he's a big, just thick dude in the middle. He's strong. He's going to be a run stuffer. The pass rush is going to be minimal. That's evident on his tape last year, evident in training camp this year. But a good backup, classic stuffing nose tackle. Will he play some defensive end? We'll see, but he can play some nose tackle for sure.
Based on what you've seen with the depth of this defensive line, and this is one of those loaded, you'll never find out the answer, but based on what you've seen, had Dean Lowry stayed healthy, would he have been in the running to make this roster?
He would have been in the running more than I expected. Would he have made it if he was healthy? Would I put him on my last projection? I probably still would have given the slight nod and edge to Loudermilk, but it would have been interesting for sure. Some of these guys bowed out, with Lowry especially getting hurt there. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but it happens.
All right, outside linebacker. Not a lot of bodies to talk about there throughout the group, and obviously Highsmith missed some time with his groin injury, but everybody else has been healthy.
Yeah, I mean, Sawyer's had a really good camp. I mean, that's been pretty well documented. I thought Leal's gotten pretty quiet towards the end. I thought he had a good start, and the game was pretty uneventful for him. I still got to go through some of the defensive tape to really firm that evaluation, but Yeah, still probably outside looking, and I still wonder if you could try to flip Leal for a conditional seventh round pick for some team that maybe still. Who I don't know. I'm going to see whoever brought in Leal for a visit back whenever he got drafted to see if there's a coach around the league, maybe a different team that will have some interest in a different role or position for Leal. But Herbig was good. Watt's TJ Watt. I just like Welshoff and Leota being available each day, working each day. Those guys don't miss time. Leota's got some speed. Welshoff's got some size and power and is stout against the run. So that's kind of the evaluation on those guys.
All right, inside linebacker is the story of that position group for camp. Either another step forward for Peyton Wilson, or is it Cole Holcomb looking like Cole Holcomb?
Can I give you a Dave yes to
Oh,
that?
okay.
I think both apply. I mean, we'll see about does Holcomb look exactly like old Cole Holcomb? I'm not sure. I think time will kind of tell on that a little bit, but he looked good. He looked healthy and he practiced all but I think one day, which was really important for him. He had a good day today. He had a pick six, throw over the middle and housed it. So, I mean, that was just a nice note for him. He was pumped. I think he fired the ball into the sun. I don't know. He threw the football away, I'm pretty sure. So that was just good for him. But Peyton Wilson, I think, is the headline just because he's going to be your starter. He's going to play. He's your young, ascending new age linebacker with the old school size, in terms of just kind of being an old school 6'4". He's added some weight, 6'4", 240. You don't really see those guys make up anymore. So just an interesting guy that had a really nice camp.
All right, and obviously looks a lot more comfortable in that defense, the second training camp, right?
Yeah, I mean, it can be hard to tell externally a guy's comfort level, but his play speed was good. Just some of the things reflected in being comfortable, play speed, not making mistakes, wearing the green dot in the game. Those things all indicate he's playing a lot faster and more comfortable.
All right, defensive backs. Let's start first. A question that came to my mind earlier in the day: is James Pierre a better practice cornerback than he is a game quarterback?
Probably. I mean, he's a little hot and cold. Had a tough day yesterday. Had some good plays, bad plays. They had a good pick of Rodgers over the middle. I think he gave up a touchdown. I want to say, or give up. I think maybe Brandon Johnson got a step on him, and Rodgers overthrew it, which kind of saved a little bit of face there. I mean, he's just a little hot and cold player, physically talented. I think mentally above the neck's kind of been his issue. A little Mark Robinson like, talented guy. You fully trust him. Probably takes a longer time to get to that point, but he's going to be in a perfect kind of ideal role for him as a reserve corner. Not going to be next man up. That's going to be Brandon Eccles. We'll see if Troy Saber gets back. But it'll be kind of a number 5, number 6 corner, good special teamer. If he has to play, if something got crazy in a game or you had to give him stamps, I mean, he's done it. And so there's some level of trust there. But he's a good athlete. He's physical. He can make plays on the football. I like him as a gunner. So, yeah, I think it was a good camp overall for James Pierre.
Jalen Ramsey's another unicorn, right? This guy as advertised.
Yeah, I mean, just the word I used early in camp was presence, and it really is a presence in a lot of the things that Ramsey does, not even just making plays or breaking up passes, but just physically kind of get off the bus, look A, and then B, just kind of making his presence felt every rep. There was one run today. They weren't tackling, but it was Warren up the middle, got 5 yards. He always finishes his runs, and Ramsey playing free safety came down and just popped him. Just a good little shove, little shoulder into him, nothing crazy, just to remind you, hey, I'm here. And that's kind of the stuff that he does, kind of sets the tone. That physicality really shines through. Had a great rep in competition. He's playing off man, 10 yards deep, reads it, flat foot read, breaks on the slant to Metcalf and easily bats it away. Just a great rep by corner, textbook type stuff there. So happy he got healthy and back full for the last day to check that box. Had a really good day, really good camp. Going to be a lot of fun to watch. That guy, I listened to the pivot interview he did with Clark and the gang, and just seems super excited to be here in Pittsburgh.
It certainly does. That was a great interview with Ryan Clark and company there. People get a chance to listen to that. What'd you learn about Brandon Eccles this summer?
Guy can cover. I mean, he's a good outside corner. He was competitive on the football. He wasn't shrinking to the moment. I mean, obviously he gets lost a little bit. He's not the caliber of Slay and JPJ and Ramsey, obviously, but just a really strong backup. And we'll see if he gets time work. But I thought it was a nice camp for Brandon Eccles.
Obviously, this team traded away Minka Fitzpatrick, and in comes Jalen Ramsey. But pound for pound, this feels like the best secondary the Steelers have had in quite some time, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I'm trying to think back to the 2019, 2020 editions. So at the back end of Hayden's time in Pittsburgh. I always forget when Joe Hayden's last year with the Steelers was. Maybe he was still in Pittsburgh then because he came in at 18 or something, right?
I don't know. I just realized a post about Daryl Drake's passing the 6 year.
Yeah.
It's 6 years ago.
I know.
And I can. It feels like that's only been 2 years ago that
Yeah.
happened. So
I-
time gets away from me.
That's still etched. I mean, that was the first practice back. I think they canceled the next practice or two. That first practice back, it rained. It was crappy weather, but it was the saddest, most somber, just the worst practice for all the most understandable reasons. It was such a horrible time, obviously. But anyway, for the corners, Hayden
This
plays
is a
with
good group,
40-21.
plain and simple,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, in terms of the best corner group, I can't remember last time Pittsburgh was as good at cornerback specifically as they are right now, top to bottom. So Porter, Slay, Ramsey, Eccles, even Pierre was that reserve special teamer. If Trice ever gets back, then another guy in that mix too. I can't think of a time when Pittsburgh was stronger at cornerback.
And then Deshaun Elliott's probably one of the more underrated strong safeties in the league, at least based on what we saw last year.
Yeah, I mean, he was a stud last year. I mean, he was a tackling machine. He was great against the run, super consistent, reliable. The defense struggled whenever he was not on the field. So the question is, how do you replace Minkah Fitzpatrick? How does that look? I thought Juan Torino's had a nice camp. He's been aggressive. He's been physical. He's made plays on the football. He's got multiple picks of Aaron Rodgers. Do I expect that to fully continue throughout the season? Probably not, but at least there's some encouraging signs. This guy can play. This guy can start. I still have reservations about him replacing Minkah. But when you have those types of corners out there, it makes you feel a whole lot better about, the covering the Bengals and those top receivers of the world.
All right, Sebastian Castro, kind of an even kill camp.
It was a quiet start. It came out a little bit stronger, a couple practices before the game, and then it kind of quieted on the back end as well. I thought he had a nice tackle on special teams in the game. I think it was maybe not the final punt, somewhere in there. He was up back and he beat a block and made a stop. So we'll see practice squad. I mean, there's only a couple safeties. There are only so many guys. You have.
They've gotten
Elliott.
lucky with some of these position groups because they've been running pretty to the bare wire as far as numbers go, and they haven't had to move the lines much.
Yeah, they've been lean at safety, at edge rusher, at offensive line. I mean, you're right. I mean, they've gotten fortunate from the injury standpoint, but it's Elliott, it's Thornhill, it's Killebrew. I think Chuck Clark makes it. The only other two safeties are Quindell Johnson and Sebastian Cash. Maybe those guys are fighting for one practice squad spot.
All right. What position group are you most excited about on the defensive side of the football going into the season, or at least as training camp breaks?
I mean, I think corner, like I said earlier, it's the deepest group in a long time. I mean, edge is still really good. I mean, Highsmith didn't work a lot, and Watt got some time off, and he's not really judging Watt how good of a camp he had. That's not really a point at this point of his career. He's kind of working on moves and just kind of probably testing stuff out, but it's still TJ Watt. So, I mean, edge is really strong, but in terms of what am I getting excited about? Maybe I wasn't last year before I got the training camp. Corner just looks aces.
All right. Anything else about defense?
I'm sure I got some thoughts somewhere that'll spill out whenever we talk Wednesday and through my final reports. But yeah, the defense was the better unit of the two. They had a dominant start. The offense got some wins back. Like I said, the defense missing some guys. But yeah, the defense looks really good.
Is the punting special teams? We know this is Boswell's job. We know who the long snapper is going to be. But is there a punter battle?
It's always hard to know exactly. I mean, the team is certainly presenting it as a battle, which in the spirit of competition is pretty common, I think, for the team to do. I mean, they both punted really well, Waitman and Johnston. Still think Johnson has the edge if you made me choose right now. That was on my last roster prediction. But yeah, I mean, I think Waitman's had a nice camp, had a good year last year. So I still think Pittsburgh will try to flip the loser in this punting battle for a 7th round pick or something like that.
All right, walk us through one final 7 shots for 2025 as a tear rolls down my face.
Offense won the day. There's a really weird play in here we'll talk about in a second. But first play, Jalen Warren, carry up the middle, wide open lane for the touchdown. Second play was Rodgers back shoulder to Metcalf. Porter covering, Metcalf twisting back but unable to make the catch. That was incomplete. The third one was Washington split out wide, Elliott trying to cover him, but nothing he could do about that. Fade ball from Rodgers to Washington for the touchdown. The fourth play is the weird one. I don't know. I have not checked any other reporter tweets. I don't know how they're scoring this. Rudolph floats it right corner for Hurlman. Daryl Porter Jr. is covering it, picks it. They go to the ground. for a couple beats, and Hurlman's like fighting with Porter for the football. I'm watching the ball kind of pop up into the air a little bit. Hurlman takes it away. He wants a touchdown. I don't know if they ruled that interception, touchdown. I ruled it interception. I give the play to Porter. Fifth one was Rudolph hitting Brandon Johnson on a slant between Pierre and Thornhill. Johnson's been a touchdown machine in these red zone 7 shots periods. Let's see. Sixth play was Lou Nichols up the middle, getting a block from Gareth Warren for a touchdown. Then the last one was Skylar Thompson finding Lance McCutcheon wide open, left side for a score. Do we know, has anyone else commented on that?
I think most of them are giving them, I think most of them have them 6-1.
Okay, so most of them gave it to defense and Porter, which is what I did too. So
I think that's what I saw.
Oh wait, no, they gave it 6-1, so they had said Hurlman scored on that one?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, it was a weird play. I don't know. If I wish a ref was there to kind of sort it all out. So I gave it to the defense. I gave it 5-2, but either way, it doesn't. Offense won 7 shots.
All right. With this camp now over with, did you catch any Saint Vincent bug? Do you feel better about this team than you did when they reported, as far as when it comes to 2025? Just, kind of your overarching thoughts of the camp and the team, where you stand on the team right now.
Yeah, I probably feel a bit better. That's probably true of most years and probably most training camps whenever you just get in there and see it. But, I know the camp only means so much. It's more individual, that performance, who's going to make the teams, and it is how's the year going to go, because we've seen good camps and good preseasons. 2023 turned to dust, and I'm sure the inverse has been true at some point if we backed our brains long enough. So do you feel better? I just feel better because you got through it pretty healthy. I know there's still more practices, you got a joint practice, you got 2 more games, and who knows what happens from there. But I mean, like for me, training camp is get in good work, answer some questions, stay healthy. If you do those things, I'm pretty happy overall. So kind of checked all those boxes.
All right. Give me Camp Darling, if you are best non-veteran, best rookie / first year player on both sides of the ball that stood out the most during camp.
We gotta have a good name for our Golden Nuggets for that. Offensively, I think you go Hurlman in terms of the young guys. Washington had probably the best camp of the offensive guys, but Hurlman, especially in game, but overall, I think he's made plays throughout training camp. Just been a really good athlete and displayed that, and also been available, ready, working on teams, multiple units, and so that's good. Defensively, there's a lot of guys to choose from. Again, the defense is really impressed. You go Harmon, you go Black, and go Sawyer. A lot of these rookies, the top 3 defensive draft picks. So who would I choose of the 3? Probably go Jack Sawyer if maybe choose one of the 3.
Okay. All right. Anything else before we close this one out for 2025?
The fans were buzzing. It was quieter these last couple of days, which is typical. It's always thins out at the end of training camp. It's a weekday, but like I mentioned a couple times in these earlier during the meets, Friday Night Lights that week, it was just jam packed. It's never been that busy before. So there is still, if I didn't catch the bug, Steelers Nation caught the bug because it was jam packed to degrees I've never seen before at Latrobe.
All right, Alex, can't thank you enough. You just, another year, another incredible job. I love these talks that I have with you. I love following your stuff during the day. I learned so much about this team just by your eyes and then talking to you in these special edition podcasts. And it does help me navigate what to expect once the preseason gets underway. I felt as prepared as I ever have been for that first one, and even more so now. And I know a lot of people, that listen to this and follow you on Twitter and read the site are very thankful as well, too. Just incredible detail that you always do. So that's the first thank you. The second thank you, shout out to Tim Rice, who's been our photographer for several years now, was out there again providing some excellent quality shots for Steelers Depot, and just we just love Tim to death, and he does great work. And if you ever need anything done in I think he's in Maryland, right? But he can travel up into that area, Pittsburgh and all like that. So if you have photography needs or whatnot, make sure to seek out Tim Rice on Twitter or get a hold of one of us, and we'll put you in touch with Tim. Another is just a shout out to our staff at SteelersDepot.com. the work these guys put in and allow Alex to just go out there. I mean, there's been years where Alex has gone out there and he's having to manage a lot of different things and be worried about the site and all like that. And the crew that we have now just makes that so much easier on Alex. So shout out to the Steelers Depot crew, and shout out to everybody that tunes into these and listens on top of it. We get a lot of great feedback from these special edition podcast over the years, and means a lot. And I know we don't please everybody all the time with these, but we wouldn't do what we do if we didn't have the listenership to go along with it. And even the YouTube live streams and all like that, we get great questions on during camp in particular and all like that. So just want to wrap up a lot of thank yous there, and then also one final thank you to Lynn Testa and the fine folks at Touring Plans who help sponsor these special edition podcasts. So I'll give you the floor to give the closing thoughts here, Alex.
No, you said it really well, Dave. I appreciate that, and thank you for spearheading this whole thing and managing the whole team and keeping the trains running on time. And thank you to everyone who came up at training camp and said they listened to the podcast, they read the site, they enjoyed the reports. Had some people come up to me today. Too many people to name individually over the entire training camp. Don't want to leave anybody out, but yeah, really fun year, really good buzz, really good energy from the crowd. So happy to do it. It's a pleasure, and can't wait to be back out there next year, Dave.
All right. Hopefully we'll have a successful season in between there with the 2025 Steelers. All right. Alex and I will be back with you all Wednesday morning with starting back up the regular edition podcast. And as usual, you can follow me on Twitter at Steelers Depot. Follow Alex at Alex_Kozora. Follow the show at Terrible Podcast. Email the show, theterriblepodcast@gmail.com. If you like what we do and want to donate, SteelersDepot.com. Hit the donate button. Also, if you like an ad-free version of the site, SteelersDepot.com, hit the ad-free button and follow the directions that way. So, as always, thanks for listening to the Terrible Podcast, the final edition of the special edition of Terrible Podcast, Pittsburgh Steelers Training Camp 2025 with Dave and Alex.